Norman Thomas, 6 times candidate for president on the Socialist Party ticket, said the American people would never vote for socialism. But he said under the name of liberalism, the American people will adopt every fragment of the socialist program.
When this bill is law, 3 strikes and you're out will be the law of the land.
They are absolutely destroying the traditional Western civilization right before our eyes.
And I consider it part of my responsibility as President of the United States to fight against negative stereotypes of Islam wherever they appear.
The intent of the founders, that's what the Supreme Court is supposed to do.
I declare, I'm not going to pay for that wall.
Donald Trump want to protect our nation because he said that if he's in office, he will find the enemy and destroy the enemy.
Welcome to the Abolitionists Roundtable, your all-access pass to the 2016 Red, White, and Blue Conservative Revolution. Join the conversation at 734-822-1600. Now here are your hosts, Del Marsh, Phil Stargell, and Janice Daniels.
All right, good morning. Thank you for joining the Abolitionist Roundtable. You have some of the best commentators in Southeast Michigan in studio this morning. We have one of the greatest mayors to ever occupy the office of Mayor Janice Daniels. We have the Mr. Phil Stargell that's all over Wham on, at 8:30, at 12 o'clock. He's going to have another show on Sunday. So, we have Mr. Phil Stargell. That's a bombshell to Wham Talk 1600. And I'm your host, Del Marsh. And folks, next Tuesday is a time where we cast a vote, but we're not just casting a vote, folks. This is a vote to bring back the world from a bad dream. That's right, folks. This morning, we're talking about this bad dream that we've been in for the last 8 years, that we've had a community organizer. Can you imagine that right there? Can you imagine somebody hiring a community organizer as the top CEO of a multi-billion-dollar or multi-million-dollar or to be the president of McDonald's? Would you hire a community organizer? This is somebody that's just out there registering people for food stamps and get out to vote.
Yeah, now we're going to follow that by electing an international criminal with a womb.
And second, so now the Democrat Party is so desperate, they went from a community organizer to what the mayor just pointed out, to a criminal.
An international criminal with a womb.
International criminal. But before we get to that,
with
Mayor,
a womb.
And I'm going to let you, I'm going to stay away from that part right there. But I want to point out that Mr. Trump can be a lot of things, but one thing that I can say is he is a very noble person, in my opinion, and I want to say that the Democrats over the last 9 months, not just the Democrats, but liberals, Republicans, just everybody. Mr. Trump has been shot, he's been stabbed, not literally, but he's been shot. He's been kicked. He's been spit on. He's had his house on fire. He's been lied on. He's been drowned. He's been hung. And guess what? He's still standing.
Yeah.
Is that awesome? Yeah. This man is still standing. And you know why he's still standing, folks? Because at this particular time, he is the man that has been assigned to this position. Folks, regardless of if no matter who it was, if it was Rubio, if it was my guy, if it was whoever it was, this would still be going on. It don't even matter.
That's right.
Don't matter.
And who was your guy?
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz.
Cruz, yeah.
It would have still been what they doing to Trump. It would have been done to Cruz.
That's right. Yeah, and Cruz finally came in from the cold.
Well, he came in from the cold, but my point is that we say, well, this is only what happened. It only happened to Trump. They didn't like Cruz.
No, they hated him.
And so Democrats and the media, because it's been together, the state-run media, they one and the same. They have co-opted themselves together. They done everything that they could to Trump, and whenever I look at some of his when he's on the campaign trail, Mayor, when I look at it, I mean, he had massive crowds. I think they're going to be surprised. I'm think that they're going to be surprised. I'm hoping so too.
How can we stand by and watch people within the Republican Party do what they did in this election cycle and not get back at them? I mean, not want to get back at them at least. Here's the thing: Bernie Sanders is a communist. Mm-hmm. I admit it, socialist, but he's a communist. That's what he is.
Yes. Right.
And
self-confessed too.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen it. I seen him. You know, they had a picture of him on the freeway driving a sports car.
Yeah.
That costs a lot of money.
Oh yeah, and then he has 2 vacation houses.
And so he's like the Clintons. Yeah. The Clintons, you know, they say they for women's rights, they for they for the unions, and they got all these progressive values and for human rights. But we've seen that they've cut deals with a lot of countries around the world to donate money to the Clinton Foundation, and then Bill went over, did a 10-minute speech, and collected 200,000. Just imagine, Phil, if you can go and do a half an hour speech, and get a check for 200,000,
but those checks are nothing compared to what's in his foundation. I mean, that is...
From what they say, they left the White House broke, and they took some furniture with them when they got no money.
Yeah, and they told them bring it back, didn't they?
And since from 2000 up until right now, they're worth $500 million. Yeah. The Clinton Foundation has over $2 billion in the coffer. And so you saying that this person is not corrupt? The mayor had something else that she said about it, which I would stay away from because the mayor can say that right there.
Well, it's the truth. She's an international criminal with a womb.
Yeah.
And the Democrat Party is saying that's the reason why she should be elected, when in fact they have shown again that they are corrupt from start to finish, top to bottom, inside and out.
And their issue can't even be truthful for that. That's a fraud. Yeah. Because they're saying that Trump is been accused of sexual assault. How can you be accused of sexual assault for saying something, not even advocating it, but saying it, calling truth to the matter? Yeah. What he said was, when you get to be a star, women will let you do these things. He didn't say he wanted to do them or indeed had ever done them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, it's interesting. I said last week when the Comey reopening of the investigation came out in the media, I said it's not going to be the news story. It's going to be how the news media presents the story.
Exactly right.
And if you'll see this past week, there has been so little information about the dangerous actions of this woman who has exposed our nation's top secrets to the world.
Right.
And in fact, Hillary Clinton has now given a new legal defense to people. I made an honest mistake.
Yeah.
That's supposed to get her off the hook. I made an honest mistake? Yeah. Excuse me. Now, I've decided that we should create a new verb. It's called a Comey. But I'm not sure if I should say I committed a Comey when I do something really, really stupid, like he did in July when he let her get off.
Yeah.
He indicted her in public, but then didn't recommend an indictment,
right.
Or if I should say I committed a Comey when I do something really, really brilliant, like he did by reopening the investigation in October.
Prior to him making that announcement, Loretta Lynch met on a tar pack with Bill Clinton. Oh, by the way, Clinton said, look, that's Loretta Lynch's plane over there. Let me go and talk to her.
Yeah.
So and then the next week we see that the results came out. So it was a pay to play. It was something that went on. This is what they've been doing. The Clintons been doing for the last 16 years since they've been out of office.
Yep.
And so why can't they do it again? Why can't they do it here in America? So they met with her, and with matter of fact, we noticed that she said that Loretta Lynch, this is from USA Today, Attorney General Lynch object to FBI director going public with email review. So she's saying, wait a minute, my administration didn't approve him going public with this right here. Matter of fact, here, if you'd like to join the conversation, give us a call at 734-822-1600. We got a lot to talk about, folks. Next week, we got to save. It's not just saving America. We're talking about bringing the whole world back into stability. Yeah. The whole world right now is out of order. Yep. The whole world. The whole world, Mayor.
You're absolutely right.
And so the whole world is looking at what's going to happen on Tuesday. It's not just what's happening here in America. Right. Folks, if we elect a criminal, they looking at this. You elected a community organizer. That's like in Venezuela. After Hugo Chavez died, these folks elected a guy that was a bus driver. Yeah. Did you see what's going on in Venezuela? Yeah. It's chaos right now. Yeah. This guy was a bus driver. Yeah. A bus driver, a community organizer, now a multi-international criminal.
Yeah. With a womb. I know you just won't say it. It's a medical fact.
That's running a criminal enterprise. The Clinton
crime family
organization. She is Clinton. These are the Clinton courtiers.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Can I say that? The Clinton courtiers.
Well, that's right. Al Capone. Al Capone.
These are the Clinton Capones.
That's right. He couldn't get convicted for all the multiple crimes that he committed on the streets, but he got committed to prison for tax fraud. Now, Hillary is going to get committed for a text fraud. So it's just a sign of the times. Sign of the times.
Yeah. There it is right there. And so, we see that the right now, the president is out campaigning, and I watched the video Phil brought to my attention. I heard a little bit about it, and it was so called. How you do that?
Quote.
Is it? Oh, so there it is.
I haven't did quote
unquote. I haven't did it in so long. I forgot. I became a nerd. So called. It was a veteran that had a Trump sign that said, that was called saying vote for Trump, and it got out of control, and so the president said this right here. So listen to this for a minute, and I want folks, I want to hear what you seen when you listen to this, and if you've seen it, or tell me what you hear, because I'm gonna tell you what I think of this right here when we come back, and then the greatest commentators, the Abolitionist Roundtable, the Abolitionists, the Mayor and Phil, going to give you their commentary on it. So, Derek, if you don't mind playing 902 for me, please.
Hey. Listen up. Hey, everybody.
Listen to this.
Hey, listen up. Hey,
this is our president?
Focused, and you're not focused right now. Listen to what I'm saying. Hold up. Everybody sit down and be quiet for a second. Everybody sit down and be quiet for a second. Now listen up. I'm serious. Listen up. You've got an older gentleman who is supporting his candidate. He's not doing nothing. Yeah. You don't have to worry about him. Yeah. You should. This is what I mean about folks not being focused. First of all, hold up. Hold up. First of all, we live in a country that respects free speech.
Yeah, so when the Democrats say something.
Second of all, it looks like maybe he might have served in our military, and we got to respect that. Third of all, he was elderly, and we got to respect our elders. And fourth of all, don't boo. Oh! Don't boo. Oh! Come on.
All right. So, in my opinion, that was a plant. That was a plant. That was staged. It made good pain. Good pain rhetoric that the president was out there. See, because this was the headline that I saw, that the president was out there defending a Donald Trump supporter.
Yeah.
And so that's the headline, that he's not mean. He's not mean like Trump.
Yeah.
He was out there defending a Trump supporter, when the crowd got out of control. This is the headline that I saw. So when I saw that, I said, that guy was a plant.
Yeah.
We seen the guy that went to the White House over 300 times and met with the president, 40 times out of that 300 times, to go in, to get plans so that, they have their strategy of how to disrupt Trump's events. And so what they did is, that guy, he was in costume. He was an actor. He was a paid operative of the Clinton-Obama crime machine.
That's a very good observation, Del. I'm very impressed. No, I didn't think that through, but now that you've mentioned it, that is a very good observation. And to rile up the people to go vote. Because that was the ending comment. Go vote. Don't boo. Go vote.
He's supporting his candidate, folks.
Perfect analysis, Del.
And you heard he knew who he was talking to. Where was this at?
In North Carolina.
I mean, at the campus, college campus? Or a predominantly
it was
black
people,
audience, because he was directing it toward the black vote.
Oh, sure.
Because you heard what he said. He not doing nothing. He went back to the.
I see what you're saying. He put a little urban spin on his language. Yeah. So, and again, this is a plan. I've seen a number of headlines that said, again, this is from One News Now. It says, is Obama campaigning for himself or Clinton? And the reason why they said that is because this is from the American Mirror. And they said this right here. Obama talked about himself 200 now in this. His latest speech, he talked about himself 207 times out of 84 minutes.
Yeah.
Not Hillary Clinton, but what he's did. It's about protecting his legacy, and not really his legacy. It's about protecting all the crimes that he's done while that's hidden away. We don't know about.
But he knows that he'll never go to jail, even though Trump threatened to put Hillary in. Hillary and him are not going to go to jail if Trump wins.
Okay.
But all of those people around him are going to go to jail and do some time.
Why do you say him and Hillary are not going to go to jail if Trump wins? If Trump wins,
that's the only way that the investigation won't be hidden by the executive office, because whatever happens, if Hillary is elected, she's going to have control over the final cut of this thing, even though she might be indicted. If they come up and find her guilty of all this stuff, you know that they're not going to put her in jail. That just
she's going to negotiate, and she's going to make somebody else the fall guy.
Well, Uma Abedin is already under the bus. But I heard that she is giving them information, both her and her husband Wiener, or her Wiener husband, or whatever.
That's his name.
I shouldn't say that now. Of
course, his name fit him perfectly. Perfectly. We don't know what else they found on that computer, because that guy right there is out there.
Well, I heard both of them are squealing. And that would be good. That would be very good.
But the thing about it is, again, I just don't believe that they would put Hillary in jail.
We can only pray.
Look at the Hamburglar. You remember him?
No.
The guy that had the
on McDonald's?
No, no, the guy that went into the archives and stole the
Sandy
document.
Berger. Put the documents down his sock.
You know what? I forgot about that. Let's go real quick and say good morning to Joe from Wyandotte. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Phil, Del, Janet.
Good
morning.
Yes, sir. Good morning. And you wanted to talk about a little bit.
Actually be able to be on. I'm not normally up at this time of the morning on a Saturday.
Hey.
It's been a long time since I've called in.
We appreciate it.
But you were talking basically about the corruption of the Democrats, the blatant dishonesty. They can never be honest. They never can obey the law.
Yeah.
They always have to do things underhanded and shady to try to leverage their voters out to vote. And we see the same thing with the Jeff Jones for Congress campaign here locally. Debbie Dingell, illegally, and complaint has been filed with the Federal Election Commission, that was providing flyers at public schools to recruit kids to work for her campaign.
Are you surprised, Joe? Are you surprised by that?
Not one bit.
Exactly. Go
But
ahead.
it is, again, yet an example 1,000,000,001 of the blatant corruption of the Democrat Party.
Yeah, and believe in child labor too. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, they are. Yeah, they are. We're offering to pay. The flyer said the schools could organize the kids as a fundraiser activity.
Oh, come
They
on.
would be paid to work for the campaign.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
Isn't that ridiculous?
That is ridiculous.
Now, I have no problem with a campaign paying kids to help and work on a campaign and be involved and try to make them civic-minded, but it is illegal to do it the way they did it.
Well, that's the way of the Democrats. They
and
only
we
know
have to
corruption.
get the Dingell dynasty, 7 decades of Dingell rule over us, not representation. We have a real chance of replacing the Dingell dynasty this time. People need to contact Jeff Jones at the last minute. A last-minute contribution will help with ads that are out. Go to Jeff Jones, the number 4, Congress.com. Contact Jeff. Donate to Jeff. We must defeat Debbie Dingell this cycle. This is our best chance. There's a workers' party that was created locally and is getting some union support that will draw some votes away from Debbie Dingell. If that party pulls 20,000 votes out of the district, that makes this race competitive, and every single vote is important for Jeff Jones for Congress. We might be able to be here this time.
All right. Well, we want to plug Jeff Jones because you're right. That is a seat that's been controlled by this family, and they don't own anything, but they feel like they own that. They feel like that's a seat that should be passed down among their family from generation to generation. So we have another call that we want to get to. Hey, don't be a stranger. Thanks for calling this morning.
My friend.
Okay, take care.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
All right, we're going to go to our friend. Good morning, Gary. How you doing from Hazel Park?
Hey, folks, it's just around the corner now. Just a few more days and we can save the union.
Yeah, just how many days? I should get up my presidential countdown clock. I'll try to find it while you're talking, Gary.
Hey, this is the, we're talking about bringing the world back into to order. Gary, we've been under rule of a community organizer for a guy that registered people to vote and for food stamps, and so the whole world is out of order. Not just the United States, the whole world is watching us right now. So this is a very, very important election.
Oh, that's right. Because through the course of human events, there has been singular events that have changed the world, such as the crucifixion of the Nazarene, or the uprising in Russia, and various other things. The shot heard around the world, and the moon landing or the attack on Pearl Harbor. This is one of those events.
All right, Gary, we got to go, my friend. Thanks for calling. You got to call early. You are. All right, we'll talk to you on the other side of the break, folks.
listening to the Abolitionists Roundtable, patriotic, red, white, and blue, conservative all-access radio, with your hosts, Del, Phil, and Janice. They're leading the charge in advancing the conservative revolution. Join the conversation at 734-822-1600.
Hello, I'm Milt, and this is Logically Speaking Uncensored, an open letter to legal American patriots. Don't let Democrat Hillary tread on us. On Tuesday, November 8, 2016, the epic day of no return will arrive. And on that date, legal American voters will have the power, with their vote, to determine whether the United States remain one nation under God or become a secular, hedonistic, godless nation. On Tuesday, November 8, 2016, legal Americans will face an election unlike any since the nation's founding, as the enemies within endeavor to destroy the United States as a world power and extinguish the shining light on the hill denoted by President Reagan. On Tuesday, November 8, one candidate will become the 45th president. That's why the right vote for the right candidate is critical. And during this hallmark moment in American history, no patriot can afford to be undecided, believing it is honorable to stand on the sidelines and ignore the impending destruction of the United States. To formulate such a position is unpatriotic, illogical, and traitorous, because stopping the evil subversive forces controlled by the Democrat Party and their dragon queen Hillary from taking over the United States is paramount. As the hours of decision draw closer, being undecided about voting against Hillary and the Democrat Party is no virtue. It is an act of betrayal. When Bill Clinton became president, Hillary allegedly said they would govern as one. Today, Hillary has vowed to continue Obama's anti-American agendas, which by default will make her a third-term clone for Obama and her lecherous husband, Bill. If Hillary's dictatorial regime replicates Obama's maniacal tenure, the nation will collapse under the weight of unending lies, adversarial politics, economic corruption, scandals, social immoralities, and socialism. The nation desperately needs a president like Donald Trump, who will defend the Constitution, secure the borders, protect national sovereignty, and have the courage to do what is needed to keep America number one. Trump is not afraid to challenge political correct fascism, which perpetrates class envy, class warfare, and engenders race separatism that segregate and divide people into diversity enclaves of hate, which Hillary and the Democrat oligarchy exploits. The multiplicity of disasters that will erupt if Hillary is elected are too numerous to present in the allotted time. So, I will continue this commentary with part 2 next Saturday, October 22, 2016. Today, I stirred up the devil dust enveloping Democrat Hillary. On October 22, I will tell you why dumpster diving with Hillary is dirty and obscene. Remember, this election is not about political parties or personalities. It's about legal American patriots voting correctly to preserve the United States as one nation under God. I am Milt, logically speaking, uncensored, saying, think about it.
All right, folks. Wow, look at there. Was that awesome? Was that awesome? Milt always do a great job. So, again, we want to thank Milt for sending down that commentary. That's Milt Harris from Joshua's Trail, on the other side of the radio station. Again, this is an offshoot of Joshua's Trail, so we're very thankful to Milt Harris. All right, so we have a guest this morning we want to get to, and because we got something very important to talk about. And I want to go to our friend Stacey Shrimp. Stacey's no stranger to the WHAM audience. He's no stranger to the Abolitionist Roundtable. Stacey is with Project 21, leading Black Leadership Network. Stacey is the founder of a ministry of his own. In addition, he is the spokesperson for over 33,000 churches, 1.3 million lay people. And he's also, I think you started the Frederick Douglass Society too, Stacey? You were involved in that years ago.
First of all, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I led the Frederick Douglass Society for some time now.
That's right.
But we actually dissolved that, and I'm on to criminal justice reform, and we'll have a really exciting announcement about that pretty soon. And regarding the churches, this is when we were fighting for marriage protection for Michigan. We gathered and represented hundreds and hundreds of black churches, and really we represented not only Michigan, but Utah, Virginia, and Louisiana, and other states. So right now, that's sort of sidelined, but we're certainly ready to continue fighting for traditional marriage and traditional family values.
Yeah, because it's still there. It's still there because they really spent it off into some other things. I mean, really, this is just a side note. In public, my daughter is not allowed to use the bathroom at all anymore. Nowhere in public. Period. Nowhere. So always make sure
absolutely. When you say that it's a multi-pronged attack, ultimately to suffocate and suspend our religious freedom and freedom of speech, and we definitely have to be careful that we don't become complacent.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but I heard something, and man, when Judy called, she sent me your email from Project 21, and I seen what you wrote about. Are white voters smarter than black voters? And when I heard on it was a Christian radio station, they ran a commercial, and Obama told them the audience to go out and just vote a straight ticket, vote straight Democrat, straight ticket. And I was very disturbed by that. Didn't say, vote for people that stand for, for freedom, liberty. He said just vote straight ticket. And so that right there, for what you just said, and that was in line with your article. So if you don't mind, I'm going to let you go ahead and let us know why you wrote this and why is this so important today.
Well, if the issue were only a Democrat official asking their constituents to vote straight party, that wouldn't bother me. Republicans do the same thing. Both parties want their constituents or want people to vote down the line.
They do.
But the difference, however, is the basis for the request. So what has happened is essentially in Michigan, there's a fight that the Attorney General, I think, is on the right side of for a long time now, is because the Democrat Party has been saying that we ought to have mandatory straight ticket voting.
Yeah.
And the judges upheld this, saying that if we do not have mandatory straight ticket voting, it would be a particular burden on black Americans.
There it is.
Yeah. Because of the patience that it takes to do this, and because of the educational or intellectual level that it requires to do this. In other words, what the court is saying and what the Democrat Party is saying is that black voters in particular, unlike white voters, do not have the patience or the intellectual wherewithal to go into the voting booth and vote on the basis of issues and for candidates who represent those issues. We, in fact, need to be able to go vote straight ticket. And I'll tell you what. I find that to be not only disturbing, but classic racism, because if you understand the very definition of racism, it means when one espouses a concept or philosophy of intellectual superiority. One group is innately more intelligent than another. So, I mean, that is discriminatory in and of itself. And for the federal court, of all people, to say that this is justified, in my mind, is unacceptable.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, when I was looking at that, because I thought this was very fascinating, I talked to Phil about it. He said, Dale, I've been watching that. But you know, Michigan is only only a handful of states that still have straight ticket voting. Georgia, Illinois, they abolished the straight ticket voting in the 90s up to the early 2000s. So, and Georgia, we know, has a larger black vote in that area. And people go in there and they make a decision. It only take a few extra minutes, and also it makes you responsible for going and looking at the candidates and also just studying some of the issues.
It says that you have the dignity, the integrity, and the intelligence to think for yourself when you do away with. Listen, and historically. For your listening audience, historically, black leadership never did support. This is a new thing. And Dr. King, speaking down in Savannah, Georgia, I think it was in 1964, he had come out against the SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, had come out against the Republican nominee Barry Goldwater that year. And in fact, they had done so adamantly. However, in this particular press conference down in Savannah, Georgia, King made it clear. He said the SCLC, while they condemned the candidacy of Barry Goldwater, he said we feel that there were many worthy candidates. King stated down in downstate or down ticket elections in the South. He said who were worthy of their support. King denounced the idea of black Americans going into the booth and just voting straight ticket. He felt that people ought to go and vote on the issues, and he felt that there were candidates on both sides, depending on what region or what state they were in, that supported their issues. In other words, he was saying that all politics is regional or local.
Right. That's right.
And for the most part, that still holds true. For the most part, the reason I say for the most part, because I think the change is that the Democrat Party platform altogether, in my mind, has gone so far to the left of the kind of values that King represented, the kind of values I represent.
And the kind of values that blacks represent. You know, I was just looking at a recent poll, and it shows that black are more religious than any other ethnic group in the whole nation. And so, you know, we love church. I love church. I'm a church guy. And so, but we go into church and then we come out, and for some reason the Democrat have crafted this. You know, I'm not just bashing on Democrats, but you pointed out their platform.
I don't want to get too far here.
We're just pointing out their platform. That's all I'm gonna point out is their platform. I know you want it. You're standing nonpartisan because you representing everybody, and because you represent the Christian church. And so,
plus, I just want to point out, and I just want to point out to you. I want to piggyback off you. I want to meet you halfway. Yeah. It's true that historically, and let's face it, historically, black folks typically have been the most religious people in our country. Yeah. That's just the way it's always been. Unfortunately, in my opinion, and it's too long to get into, but one of the reasons why I think the Republican Party has failed so miserably with the black demographic, and let me just say with minorities, Hispanics, Asian Americans, is because even though I personally principally agree with the Republican platform, pro-family platform, less taxes, I can go right down the line, labor freedom, I agree with all of those things across the board, to be honest with you. But at the same time, the party, I think, has done a very poor job, the Republican Party, in identifying with some demographics' day-to-day experiences. Criminal justice reform is a major issue in our country. In Michigan, 1 out of every 4 residents has a criminal arrest record. 1 out of every 6 residents has a felony conviction. This has tremendous implications for employment, housing, education, student loans, and so on. So this is the reality that's touching practically every other minority family, in particular in our state. So we can't. So the Democrats are really closely engaged on this issue in one part, even though
you're talking about the criminal justice reform.
Yeah, even though on the other side of it, they're pushing economic policies that would prevent these same folk from getting jobs. So it's a hypocrisy. But people vote for what they see or what they think they see for what they know. So part of it is Democrat manipulation, but part of it is absenteeism from the Republican Party. In some cases, advocacy on the behalf of the Republican Party on the wrong side of issues. I think the Republican Party is on the wrong side of many issues as it relates to criminal justice reform. So we have to be honest about some of these issues. But regarding my article, I think it's absolutely unacceptable. I think it's insulting. I think it's discriminatory. I like to see us as black folk put pressure on the Michigan Civil Rights Commission, the NAACP, these traditional civil rights organizations regarding these type of decisions. The A. Philip Randolph Institute had the audacity.
I've seen that.
So-called black. Yeah, they had. This is supposed to be a black organization, they say, but they they had the audacity to say that black people need these special handicaps in the booth.
I seen that. I got the article right here, and that's what was the most appalling about that right there. They cited the section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. They, again, they use that for voter suppression. They use that blacks are going to get frustrated. Stacey, I'm going to have to end it right there. We're going to have you back on, but we just have so much on our agenda. Well, I want to thank you for getting up with us this morning. You're a friend here. You're welcome anytime. Send me an email. Judy, know my email address. We need to talk about this again. You keep fighting the good fight of faith out there, my friend.
Thank you. God bless all of you.
Thanks a lot, Stacey.
All right. Okay. All right. So, Phil, can you elaborate a little bit on the reason why that King came out against when it was Mondale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know, but I want you to elaborate on why did King come out against him so strongly?
Well, in my estimation, it was because Martin Luther King was a constitutionalist.
That's right.
A lot of people don't make that statement, but he saw that the only thing that would bring us out of poverty was to be able to use the documents in this country to get people to give us what the country promised.
Yeah.
In all of them documents. He knew that would bring us equality and justice. That's what he was after. He wasn't after
and he was
what
looking
they
for,
eventually gave
really
us.
Wasn't he was looking for, he didn't really want civil rights at all.
He didn't want civil rights.
He wanted constitutional rights, and he was a constitutionalist. And, I read, because I went and grabbed a book on Mondale, and I noticed that Mondale's position was that he just thought that the civil rights laws went too far.
Yeah.
He believed that we should use the constitutional laws, but it was at a time where they needed that extra protection.
Well, but see, Martin Luther King also knew that Johnson was the driving force behind this, and he understood that Johnson was doing this for political reasons only. He was doing it to bring his country, his fellow countrymen out of poverty and into the workforce and all of that equality. That's what he was after.
Yeah.
Because there were laws that kept us.
So he really wasn't for civil rights.
No, he was very angry, from what I can understand.
Yeah.
Especially when Johnson said what he said about we'll
Later
have
on,
those. No, this was at the signing ceremony.
Uh-huh.
He said that we'll have them N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years.
I remember that part, but it was just so.
But he understood that.
But again, liberals used that as that. King was just speaking out against Republicans. The Republican
they
Party,
spin it. They do everything. This is why it's so important that things like this, where people are
and this voting rights, they make it. Like he said, the Philip Randall organization making a big deal out of this right here.
Look how many
they want them to vote straight Democrat.
Yeah, look
they
how
don't
many
want them to have no choice.
Look how many laws were passed just putting civil rights on it.
Yeah.
Just putting civil rights on it. No matter what that law said, you put civil rights on it, and guess what? Black people come out of the woodwork to vote. So anybody that promises to protect civil rights, that's why there was a campaign for many years where people were saying racism isn't dead yet. Racism is still racism, and this has been the focal point of this administration. Everything is about racism.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
And so when you talk about anything that blacks perceive that there is a advantage, they're going to do it because it's to preserve the civil rights and Martin Luther King's legacy. And Martin Luther King was not for civil rights.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let's take it a little bit further. Cesar Chavez, the icon in the Hispanic community, right? He was not for illegal immigrants coming across the border. He was for legal immigration. He did not like and want illegals flooding the border. And if you look up the papers and look back at the history of Cesar Chavez, he was against illegal people coming across the borders and flooding the areas, because in turn it hurt him. It hurt the movement. But now look what we got. This is the same kind of thing. Yeah. And that's, again, right now, is what's happening, where the Hispanics are having an influence on our elections. How many of them are illegal? And so what we have is the Constitution. If we go by the Constitution, the civil rights laws and things like that would, if they were ineffective, they would be taken off the books. And we've had so many ineffective civil rights laws that we don't even know where to begin to start eliminating some of those laws.
Well, here, let me just mention one thing. I got to mention, we're getting close to the end of the show, folks. Again, this is the most important election. Your vote is the most important vote to bring our world back from this bad dream. But I want to mention something as a Christian. I got to stand and be outspoken, but this is from Christian headlines.com. It said, Mosul, ISIS forcing children and elderly to carry out brutal execution. A new ISIS propaganda video showing children and the elderly being forced to carry out brutal executions as they battle, in a battle for them to control Iraq and the city of Mosul continue. ISIS militants are reportedly losing ground and forces in Mosul, their latest major stronghold. But this is not only made them move to their more brutal method, and so we so concentrated, so caught up in all these civil rights and all this other stuff. And the president said that he was going to destroy ISIS, and ISIS have children and elderly, forcing them to kill fellow Christians.
Yeah, and do you know that there is proof that some of these immigrants from over in Syria are saying that they're Christians and they're still Muslims, and they're tattooing themselves with Christian things on them. It's all a deception, because they know
that's propaganda. That is a part of their propaganda. I'm sorry, go ahead, Mayor. It looked like you had something to say about that.
Well, I was just going to say, connecting it to the election, these are the same people who are donating money to the Clinton Foundation. The Clinton Foundation is tied to the State Department, and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama founded ISIS. And if that's what you want to continue, then you vote for Hillary Clinton. But if you want to clean this country up, you vote for Donald Trump on Tuesday, November the 8th. Go Donald Trump.
Come on,
I'm with you. Go Donald Trump.
All right, Phil, not that. All right, folks, this is this is the election that we have to go and vote. Vote Donald Trump. Vote for conservatives. And next week we'll see you and we'll talk about it.
The Abolitionist Roundtable invites the Wham! Talk 1600 listeners to continue the roundtable discussions by mailing correspondence to Art of Michigan, Post Office Box 135, Garden City, Michigan 48135.
Or follow Phil, Del, and Janice at artofmichigan.com. You can also send emails to artofmichigan@hotmail.com. And most of all, continue to listen every Saturday and tell a friend.